let's talk really briefly about how you get in if you didn't get a lottery spot, which is most of us
right, of course.
didn't get, or in our case, we were just, didn't get our act together to enter at all.
It's our fault.
But for the unlucky 800 and however many thousand people who did not get in.
Yep.
So I've gone deep down the rabbit hole on this. My wife ran London this year, and she actually
she did.
She entered the lottery a few times in the last few years, and obviously didn't get in any time, and kind of gave up hope that was ever going to work out for her. So she looked into other avenues, or rather I helped her look into other avenues, did some research.
Okay.
And this was actually a good exercise for me from a professional standpoint, so that we kind of know how you get into these various races. Like, particularly from a North American standpoint, it's a bit opaque how you get into a London or a Tokyo. Berlin is a little bit more straightforward, I've found, but London is a tricky one. So basically the way you get into London is through the lottery, through club entries in the UK. So if you're a British national and you run for a club or have some club affiliation, a lot of these clubs get a whole bunch of entries, and basically you can grab one of these entries. You have to pay for it, of course, but they hold these entries, which is, I think, a really great system to kind of keep the club system in the UK alive.
Yep.
And then if you're outside of the UK, you're not a UK resident, you're trying to get into this race, basically there's like only two avenues to enter, which is one, you raise money for a charity and you basically buy a charity bib.
It's like $2,500, right, that you have to raise or something along those lines?
Around 2,500, either pounds or US dollars.
Sorry.
It's one or the other. If it's pounds, it's even more. It's a lot. It's a few $1,000s.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And basically what you do is you find an affiliated charity, which the tricky thing is it's going to be in a UK charity. So you're not necessarily raising money for a charity that is directly probably touching you or your life within the country you're from if you're not a UK citizen. But you just try to maybe match up with a charity you believe in yourself. And then you got to figure out a way to raise that money. And if you don't raise that money, they have your credit card and they just
take the rest.
They just take it off the top at the end. That's right. So you've basically paid $3,000 for a bib. The only other option that I can find, there's two other options. One's really tricky, but the only other basic option for most people is going through like a tour operator. So there's, we've all kind of seen these tour operators at running expos over the years, or back in the day, used to be like in the back pages of like a running magazine, and you see like banner ads on sites for them, like the Marathon Tours type. I think actually one of them's called Marathon Tours. And they operate in different countries, and they basically offer a tour package. They buy a bib from the London Marathon for however much money, a huge premium. And then they turn around and they sell it as a package to suckers like you and I.
What, with like hotel and all that stuff included?
You got it. Yeah. They usually roll in a couple of days at a travel lodge or something like that. And there's usually like tiers. Like there's like the lo-fi for a few $1,000, and then there's the slightly higher tier, kind of like nicer business hotel in the heart of the city for more. Not a cheap way to go.
I was going to say, there seem like there are options, but they're pricey options.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One scandalous thing that I encountered when I was doing this research is they all advertise that they take care of free transport to the start line on race morning.
Okay.
And then you read the fine print, and the free transport is taking the tube, so taking the subway. And the subway on race morning for anyone wearing a bib
is free. Isn't that nice? They throw that in there. Okay, all right.
Yeah, the free add-on of the free thing. Yeah, very clever. Anyway, so those are the two sort of most straightforward ways. And then there's a third way, which is not for everybody, unfortunately, and that is Abbott, which is the company that sponsors the World Marathon Majors, of which London is one. They do a lot of this sort of age category world championship stuff,
Yep.
and they have like a whole leaderboard and so on and so forth.
And different in cutoff times and all of that. Like, almost,
And you can,
yeah.
they have a lottery to gain entry into these majors. It's a sort of like I think probably a much more statistically favorable lottery, but you have to hit certain qualifying
Yeah, you've got to get
times
a
to enter.
qualifying time. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I saw those
So
times too somewhere. And there was like a professional qualifying time as well. That was really tough. Wow.
Yes,
That's another level. Yeah.
That's a
professional
whole
is
other
another
level. Exactly. Yeah.
There are many ways. It's just figuring out which one will work for us.
I've heard of even like Olympic hopefuls in Olympic years being told like your time's not quite good enough. We'll see. Like people who've run like 2:30 for a woman running 2:30 and they're basically like, yeah, you're on the outside looking in and we're not sure if we're going to have an elite spot for you. So the demand is extreme.